Hey everyone. I got a copyright strike. I'm about to do a call on Twitter Spaces. So it's be pretty interesting. Hopefully you're all entertained. Let me see here. Do this for a second. Alright, so I'm starting this Twitter Spaces call in 5 minutes. I think it's in 5 minutes. Maybe it's in an hour though. Maybe at 9 o'clock. Oh shit, it's at 9 o'clock. Alright, well, we got an hour to kill. wants to make some endoscopes. We'll make one on live stream. Urology and pelvic. A lot of meshes. Hear the sirens? That's the sound of New York. At least in the old days. AMC reported yesterday. I kind of want to look at how they did. Maybe we could take a break and look at that real quick, because that'll be entertaining. Browse, models, AMC. Alright. Maybe I'll send out a tweet about my live stream. Get some guests up in here. Do 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 do. Cool. Okay. Let me wake up. Or at least try to. Well, let's see how this went. Wow, good revenue number. 1166.4, not bad at all. Let's see how it broke down on admissions versus. Alright, admissions were 651. Wow, pretty good. Definitely above my estimate. Food and beverage, above my estimate. Other theater. Okay, so that was all pretty good. Ooh. These costs were a lot higher though. Huh. I don't know, so it looks like my, I see. My cost estimates were way off. That's why. So let me see if I can do like a film margin. Here's film gross margin. I didn't have that adjusted for normal operating costs. So let's see. Film gross margin, a little lower than normal, but not bad. So let's see, film gross margin. This is film expense really, not gross margin. So this is, yeah. So yeah, film Film gross margin was a little light. Pretty much haven't had that bad of a film gross margin in years. So not good. But, you know, all things considered, not the end of the world either. Operating expenses quite high actually. Not good. Bad cost management in general. Rent was okay. And G&A was high too. These guys are spending too much. So EBITDA was, I mean, they had negative EBITDA. Pretty terrible. Yeah, cost management not good this quarter. I'll say that. My definition of EBITDA, they're slightly positive. You got to exclude D&A obviously, so otherwise it's not EBITDA. Earnings before interest, taxes, and D&A. Non-cash exhibitor services agreement. Okay. It wasn't the worst quarter. I think there's probably hope for more profitability, but the revenue beat was. It's a lot of revenue, I have to admit. Even though I'm short AMC, you gotta be honest with yourself. Accept reality for what it is. And AMC is, I don't know, they had pretty solid revenue quarter. Pretty solid revenue in the quarter. I'm not sure that they're. This doesn't include after hours yesterday, I don't think. So what will revenue be this quarter? And I have to triangulate this against there was some box office like survey that said Q2 was going to be really bad. That a lot of the short sellers were circulating, but it's pretty good. It almost matched the holiday quarter, which was, it's hard to, you know, that's a big cyclical quarter, I think. So I don't know. Still trying to get my head around it, I guess, but I've never made use of body doubles, no. Well, there are Top Gun type movies every quarter, XKO, to be fair. You're going to have Avatar come out, and then you're going to say, how many Avatar type movies are there going to be? So, there's a lot of different things on the calendar that are pretty exciting on the movie side, but again, not a field I know that well. Let's keep digging in. Yeah, so I mean, obviously things are starting to normalize for COVID as well, but they're doing, you know, $4 billion-ish of revenue. Let's see how the balance sheet and all that worked out. Well, they're not giving it in-depth. No, let's see, maybe they are. There's US, international, a bunch of adjustments. Alright, they didn't give full financials. Frustrating. I always hate when companies do that. I don't know if they're waiting for the queue or not. Well, the queue's out, so let's get it from the queue. Alright. Sega went up a lot yesterday. I guess the White House, it was down a lot, and I went to some meetings feeling good. And then all of a sudden, the White House said that monkeypox is some horrible thing that's going to kill us all. Alright, so AMC's cash went down. Again, not a good thing. Yeah, not a good thing. Let's see how liabilities did. Yeah, well, it looks like they paid some debt off, so that's why the cash went down. That's okay. As long as this net cash number doesn't go down too much. It went down 60 million. They're supposed to be paying off debt over time, but net debt went up 60 million. That's cash minus debt. A little weird, but give them a couple more quarters. You gotta give them a little slack. Something here. Maybe double counted something. Let's investigate. Finance lease. Okay. Operating lease. There it is. All right. All-important cash flow number. I don't know, I love Nassim Taleb and I hate Nassim Taleb. It's stuck in quantum superposition. He's a weird guy, he's very emotional. He's not as rational, I think, as he'd like to think he is. But he's an interesting thinker, and sometimes I think he's not an interesting thinker. So, like, there's a lot of cross currents there. Alright, cash flow from operations, long story short, did not look good, but let's take a look at the details. Loss of extinguishment of debt, Bycroft, NCM. I'm going to put that in here. Okay. This is a hell of a complicated cash flow statement for such a small company. Well, small is relative, I guess. A company of this size, I'll say. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? This call at 9 o'clock will be really entertaining. I hope you guys enjoy that. Alright. Net periodic benefit. Ugh. Periodic benefit income. Okay. Okay, so cash flow from operations was negative 77 million. So running their business costs money, right? That's the same thing as last quarter too. Not good. And we're supposed to be in a post-COVID period, right? Where, you know, they're, you know, things have gotten better, but they haven't. I don't know anything about the carbon market, sorry. Energy is not my thing. Let's see, disposition. sales securities, investment consolidation. Yeah, this is not good for AMC. Their free cash flow is negative 100 million. And this is supposed to be in good times. I mean, there's no COVID excuse anymore. People go in the movie theaters. Movies are coming out, right? Maybe there's a little residual hesitancy, but it doesn't make a lot of sense that they're losing money in this environment. Let's see what management has to say on the conference call, but I don't know. That's not good. Let's see. I'm gonna have to start psyching myself up for the VC pitch. I don't know if you guys have seen the Dwight Schrute and how he does it. Sell securities. Done. All right. Did I never do the CFFF? Might as well. Maybe I'll go back and do that. Let's see. Alright, let's listen to the conference call. I like the guy with ADHD telling me I'm wasting my time. Let's compare our careers. You tell me what to do. Get the fuck out of here. You fucking crazy?
Greetings and thank you for standing by. Welcome to the AMC Entertainment second quarter 2022 earnings conference call. During presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode, and afterwards we'll conduct a question and answer session. At that time, if you have questions, please press the 1 followed by 4 on your telephone. If at any time during the conference you need to reach an operator, please press star 0. This conference is being recorded Thursday, August 4th, 2022. And now I'd like to turn the conference over to John Derrick. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to AMC's second quarter 2022 earnings webcast. With me this afternoon is Adam Aaron, our Chairman and CEO, and Sean Goodman, our Chief Financial Officer. Before I turn the webcast over to Adam, let me remind everyone that some of the comments made by management during this webcast may contain forward-looking statements that are based on management's current expectations. Numerous risks, uncertainties, and other factors may cause actual results to differ materially from those that might be expressed today. Many of these risks and uncertainties are discussed in our most recent public filings, including our most recently filed 10-K and 10-Q. Several of the factors that will determine the company's future results are beyond the ability of the company to control or predict. In light of the uncertainties inherent in any forward-looking statements, listeners are cautioned to not place undue reliance on these statements. The company undertakes no obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events. On this webcast, we may reference non-GAAP financial measures, such as adjusted EBITDA, constant currency, free cash flow, operating cash burn, and operating cash generated, among others. For a full reconciliation of our non-GAAP measures to GAAP results, please see our earnings release posted in the investor relations section of our website earlier today. After our prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. This afternoon's webcast is being recorded and replay will be available in the investor relations section of our website at amctheaters.com later today. With that, I'll turn the call over to Adam.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, one and all, and thank you for joining us. Today, we have tremendously exciting news to share with you. First, our results for the second quarter, which were massively ahead of last year's second quarter, and exceeded market expectations for revenues, adjusted EBITDA, and net income. And second, our plan to issue later this month a special AMC preferred equity, non-dilutive stock dividend, as it will all be going, and only be going, to our shareholder base as of the dividend date. This is a move that fundamentally and deeply strengthens our company and will give us enormous flexibility as we go forward. These are exciting times for AMC and for our investors. I'll start this webcast by talking about the business. I'll then pass the call over to Sean Goodman, our CFO, to talk about our financials in more detail. And then I'll come back to talk about our special dividend announcement and the significant benefits that it brings for our shareholders. I cannot begin to put into words how much progress AMC Entertainment made in the second quarter of 2022. Thank you to Dr. Stephen Strange, to Tom Maverick Cruise, to Elvis Presley, and to all those hungry people eating Jurassic dinosaurs. Because they all graced our big screens at AMC. The second quarter was quite the success, and our best second quarter in 3 years. What's more, and this is very important, they boosted Hollywood's confidence in theatrical exhibition, and they boosted Hollywood's commitment to theatrical exhibition. Just as we predicted, our improving second quarter results boost our spirits and serve to further convince
Boosting
that
cash.
we indeed are making great strides on our path towards pandemic recovery. As you can see in our press release, AMC exceeded expectations as people came back to movie theaters in droves. Some 59 million moviegoers came to our AMC theaters across the world in the second quarter, up 168% from the same quarter a year ago. That's more than 2.5 times. They're taking us to new highs in our high-margin food and beverage business. And thanks to their patronage, we generated positive adjusted EBITDA of $107 million in the second quarter of 2022, a $258 million improvement over that figure in Q2 of 2021. We generated positive operating cash, too, in the second quarter of 2022 of $52 million. That was a $178 million improvement from the figure of the same quarter a year ago. The second quarter marked the strongest North American box office since 2019. Numerous films shined brightly in the second quarter, but none shine brighter than Top Gun Maverick. I've seen it myself 4 times now. Top Gun Maverick is now approaching $1.3 billion in worldwide box office receipts and holds the #1 box office position thus far in 2022. Maverick also broke all-time records by becoming the highest grossing movie of all time to open on Memorial Day weekend. It also is becoming the highest grossing movie ever, both for Paramount Pictures and for a movie starring Tom Cruise. I have said all along that people would come back to theaters in eye-popping numbers, and that is exactly what they did in the second quarter of 2022 and what they've been doing since. To the naysayers, who foolishly, in our opinion, have been predicting a secular decline of theatrical exhibition, all I can say is, well, you've seen my feisty hashtags on Twitter. You know what I say. The second half of this year promises to be equally exciting, with a great mix of family-friendly horror, action, drama, and comedy genres to please everyone, from young to old, including Warner Brothers DC Comics-based Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and 3 Disney films, including the animated Strange World, and 2 very highly anticipated tentpole Disney sequels, James Cameron's Avatar 2, The Way of Water, and Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Just last week, the powerful and poignant trailer for Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, was released and garnered a staggering 172 million views of the trailer in just the first 24 hours, becoming one of Marvel Cinematic Universe's top ever trailer debuts. As Nicole Kidman reminds us in AMC's now iconic and revered advertising campaign, given that Hollywood has great stories to tell, it's clear that movie fans are ever so eager to enjoy those dazzling images on AMC's huge silver screens. And speaking of Nicole, our ad campaign was so effective that we signed her to be our spokesperson for another full year. The success of the second quarter has continued into the start of the third quarter. I've put 2 examples of Let the Good Times Roll. Attendance in the just completed month of July 2022 saw the highest number of guests visit AMC's U.S. theaters since December of 2019. And our preliminary July food and beverage revenue numbers appear to be the biggest single-month figure at our U.S. theaters in our company's entire 102-year history. For full transparency, there is a dearth of new big movie titles being released in August and September. So things will slow for several weeks. Don't expect too much of us for all of Q3. But then comes the fourth quarter of 2022. Talk about star power showing itself in movie theaters. These movies and more will all grace our screens in just the 13 weeks of the fourth quarter of 2022. Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Ends, Julia Roberts and George Clooney in Ticket to Paradise, Dwayne Johnson, Pierce Brosnan, and Viola Davis in Black Adam. Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway, and Sir Anthony Hopkins in Armageddon Time. Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, and Robert De Niro in Amsterdam. Tom Hanks in A Man Called Otto. Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie in Babylon. Oh, and don't forget the ever so much anticipated sequels to Black Panther, Shazam, and Avatar. So too, the movie slate for calendar year 2023 should also make us all smile. Our current internal forecast is that the 2023 domestic box office, the basic metric suggesting the health of theatrical exhibition, both in the U.S. and globally, is likely to be billions of dollars larger than that of calendar year 22. Billions of dollars ahead. We look forward to Q4 of 2022, and we look forward to calendar year 2023 with absolute glee. There were other strides forward made at AMC in the recent months since our last quarterly call. We started the installation of the biggest environmentally friendly green initiative in our company's history with the introduction of laser projection technology coming over the next few years to almost half of our U.S. screens. And laser projection will make the pictures on those screens so much brighter and so much sharper that it's certain to excite movie buffs going forward. We're already in test market in Chicago and Kansas City with our partner, Uber Eats, for home delivery of AMC Perfectly Popcorn and other concession items from our theaters. The early results are favorable, so we expect to roll out nationally in Q4 of this year. Similarly, recipe development for microwavable and ready-to-eat popcorn is well underway, going extremely well, and we look forward to being able to sell our popcorn products in grocery stores and or convenience stores next year. We're also in active dialogue with a credit card issuer and hope to introduce a co-branded AMC credit card that can be launched nationally in early 2023 or possibly as early as late 2022. And at the specific urging of our shareholders, we are stepping up our game mightily on AMC branded and movie branded merchandise. As for Hycroft Mining, Hycroft just announced its largest exploration program in about a decade. Remember that heretofore, Hycroft has explored only about 2% of its 71,000 acre mine site. We have every confidence that our Hycroft investment will pan out, excusing the pun, to be quite lucrative for AMC. Speaking of investments, our board of directors also has authorized us to establish a fund of up to $100 million for additional transformative investments where AMC can seek to add value and thereby create meaningful additional value for our shareholders. Indeed, as I've often said previously, we are absolutely committed to transforming AMC into a bigger, bolder, stronger, and more successful company than even the one that existed prior to the pandemic. With that said, I'll now turn the call over to Sean to discuss our financials in more detail. Sean?
Why don't you discuss them?
Oh, just one Sean. And you may begin.
All right, yeah, please do. Thanks, Adam, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. As Adam said, Q2 was a terrific quarter for us. We welcomed 59 million guests to our theaters around the world, and this is well ahead of the 22 million guests that we entertained during last year's second quarter and the 39 million guests that visited us in the first quarter of 2022. This attendance resulted in revenue of $1.17 billion. This is more than 2.5 times the $445 million of revenue we had in Q2 of 2021. And it's almost 50% ahead of the $786 million of revenue that we recorded in the first quarter of this year. But even more importantly, we achieved positive adjusted EBITDA of $107 million, a very meaningful improvement over the EBITDA loss recorded in both the prior year's second quarter and also the first quarter of this year. Our financial results clearly reflect the ongoing recovery of the industry and our business. As has been our practice during the recovery period, we believe that it's helpful to look at our financial performance metrics relative to pre-pandemic levels to best benchmark the dynamics and profitability of the business as our recovery progresses. This analysis shows that our per guest performance metrics during the second quarter were universally substantially superior to pre-pandemic levels in 2019. For Q2 of 2022, on a consolidated basis, total revenue per patron was $19.73. This is 27% higher than
called
Q2
inflation.
of 2019. This was driven by admissions revenue per patron growth of 19% and food and beverage revenue per patron growth of 32% and other revenue growth per patron of 65%. This is all compared to the second quarter of 2019. In the domestic business, admissions revenue per patron increased by 22% compared to Q2 2019, and in our international business, the increase was 12%. And when we normalize for the strengthening of the US dollar compared to 2019, international admissions revenue per patron increased 16%, measured in constant currency. The admissions revenue per patron growth was driven by guests choosing to upgrade to the very best possible sight and sound experiences that are found in our premium large format offerings, such as IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and AMC Prime. Premium large format attendance represented 15.6% of domestic attendance in Q2, and this can be compared to 10.9% in the second quarter of 2019. And in our international markets, Q2 2022 premium large format attendance represented 10.4%, and this compares to 6.4% in the second quarter of 2019. In addition, the second quarter admissions revenue benefited from an overall favorable showtime mix coupled with in-theater entertainment experience. In our domestic markets, food and beverage spend per patron in the second quarter was $7.52. That is 35% higher than the average spend in pre-pandemic Q2 2019. And in the international business, food and beverage spend per patron was $4.43. That's 22% higher than Q2 of 2019 and 26% higher on a constant currency basis. Our significant food and beverage outperformance continues to be primarily driven by an increase in the proportion of guests choosing to enjoy our industry-leading food and beverage offerings, combined with them purchasing more items per each order, and both of which are made easy and convenient through our AMC apps. Compared to the second quarter of 2019, domestic other revenue per patron increased by 65%, and international other revenue per patron increased by 63% and 69% in constant currency. This reflects an increasingly higher percentage of guests choosing to reserve their seats and order their food and beverage using our industry-leading websites and apps, together with the benefit of growth and diversification initiatives such as renting out our theaters during off-peak times and revenue from various promotional and marketing initiatives. During the recovery period, we have been very agile in adjusting our payroll hours and flexing showtimes to reflect market demand and optimize efficiency. Our Q2 domestic attendance represented 60.5% of Q2 2019 attendance, but 85% of Q2 2019's attendance per showing. Let's move to cash and liquidity. We ended the quarter with a strong liquidity position of approximately $1.18 billion, comprised of $965 million of cash and cash equivalents and $211 million of undrawn credit facilities. The strong results for the quarter led to non-GAAP operating cash generated of $52 million. That's operating cash generated. This is a $178 million improvement compared to Q2 of 2021. Recall that this non-GAAP operating cash generated measurement represents cash generated before debt servicing costs and before deferred rent payback. Looking ahead, we would expect a return to non-GAAP operating cash burn in Q3 as we experience a seasonally strong, softer box office, together with working capital pressures relating to the strong Q2 box office. However, we do expect a return to positive non-GAAP operating cash generated in Q4 of this year. Regarding capital allocation, we continue to pursue a balanced and disciplined approach to capital allocation. Our main priorities remain unchanged. 1, ensure that we have sufficient liquidity to manage through the recovery phase of our business. 2, strengthen our balance sheet by reducing our debt and associated interest costs. And 3, investing in our business to enhance the guest experience. And finally, 4, opportunistically pursuing value-enhancing initiatives, including those that lead to diversification and growth of our business.
Spectacular.
As previously reported, during the quarter, we quietly strengthened our balance sheet by repurchasing through the open market approximately $72.5 million
Ever so
of our
favorably.
10% second lien subordinated secured notes that are due in 2026. We did this repurchase for approximately $50 million, and and this represented a 31% discount to the face value of the
Turn
debt.
off my notifications.
As a result of this transaction,
Reddit.
we recorded a gain on debt extinguishment this quarter of $39 million, and our annual interest costs will now be reduced by $7.25 million. During the second quarter of 2022, we also strengthened our balance sheet by repaying approximately $53 million of deferred rent, reducing our deferred rent balance to approximately $219 million. Recall that back in March 2021, this deferred rent balance was more than $470 million, and over the last 15 months, we have lowered the deferred rent balance by more than $250 million.
Okay,
We
turned off
expect to further
my
reduce this deferred rent balance
notifications
during the
for
second half of
Reddit.
2022 by another approximately $70 million.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that it's possible that revenue may pick up further, and that they start to sort of have a little bit of a better operating performance. But let's take a look at what else the 10Q has here. $585 domestic theaters. They actually have fewer theaters than before. Get out of here. 390. 593, right? 585. Eight nine zero screens. Pretty confusing disclosure there. Alright. See, screen advertising 32.3, last year is 19.7. So that makes 30.5. Right. Makes this 86.4. Great. Look at all this lovely debt. Oh, this isn't bad. 4.2% coupon there. 2026 term loans. We can note this down here. These other two a little more expensive. Pretty high yield. It's a shame interest rates have gone up. They should have refinanced earlier. Yeah, they're spending too much money on G&A and stuff like that. I don't know. It makes me not trust the CEO. You know, they're in a tough position, and Maybe I'm being too hard on him. This was the quarter where they should have like pulled out all the stops to have a huge earnings beat, and they didn't. And that's, I think, why the stock's down. This is the most US film revenue they've had in a really long time. Oops. International was kind of weak. I guess Top Gun didn't do the trick out in Europe. Yeah, Terzepatide's kind of exciting. I mean, it's kind of in the stock to some extent. And Terzepatide could be disappointment too. I mean, the GI toxicity is not trivial. Alright, here's the movie screens. Or not. Here we go. Alright, number of screens, operated or average screens. What am I looking for? Maybe I'll do... I'm not even sure. It's confusing. I guess I'll do it like this. Average screens. Then I'll... I have to scrub this data at some point with a fine-tooth comb. Let's see, attendance. Interesting, attendance didn't quite match up to Q1. And even in Q1 they didn't make much money. Sorry, Q4. Trailing 12 months, 100 million in income. And that's EBITDA, obviously. Yeah, that's, we definitely are still, I mean, the only explanation is that we're still in a pandemic period where there's still a while before people return to the theater. I mean, that's the only real possibility here. And I don't know, it feels like they're kind of back to full capacity, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait another quarter, I guess. Fine by me. Because I'm short. I don't care. I hope the stock goes to 0. How about that? Hope every AMC movie theater closes. all the joy in the world is removed. Exactly. Twirl the mustache. Now, when you're short, it does kind of weird things to your brain. But you have to be just kind of like, I don't know, reasonable. So yeah, let me look at that box office number everybody was looking at. Box Office Pro, no. Was it this? Let me see. Yeah, I think it was this. This was what everybody was looking at, and they're saying, oh, look at this. This is why AMC is going to do so poorly. And it wasn't that bad. The revenue was okay. So let's see here. Q2, cumulative gross, Q2 20. Right, so that's Top Gun. Alright, so let's see. 2322.682. So that's domestic box office for US. I mean, that's what domestic is, right? Yeah, domestic. Okay, cool. Q1. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, and now Q4. That was for 21, right? 2067-228-086. See, that's the interesting thing. Q2's box office, according to this website, was better than Q4, but AMC's revenue was less than Q4. So that's a little strange. And you could see how, like, the theatrical releases impact everything. And I guess Q1 there was some pandemic fear, so like Q1 I think traffic was low, but it's probably low cyclically anyway. It's winter after all. The summer's supposed to be, right, the big summer and the holidays maybe are supposed to be the big movie quarters. I'm still figuring this out. Let's see. Q2 21 is definitely all pandemic, right? Nothing was worse than 2020. Oof. I mean, it's impressive they survived this, but the question is, what is this worth now that the pandemic is largely over? I mean, I don't go to the movies because I don't want to get monkeypox, but that's a whole other story. What is this sound? Who's making this sound? I'm behind 4 proxies. Alright, so one way to think about whether or not they've really gotten back to pandemic highs is Q4 19. Okay, this sound's starting to tick me off. Stop doing that. Scaring me. I feel somebody's inside my computer. I don't know how to tell you to be motivated. If you're not motivated, I mean, it's your life. It's not my life. You're not motivated about your own life. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Come on. Alright, so I guess there's still the good news. And this is probably really good news, is they're still a long way away from pre-pandemic. So if you look at Q2 22, Q2 19, excuse me, they still are only 70% of that. So they've got some time. And here's how I'll model this. Let's assume they can equal Q3. I mean, they're not going to equal it maybe, but let's just take Q3 19 and do, let's say inflation offsets the secular decline of movie theaters. Let's make that argument. Let's assume their revenue, let me do this a little differently. Hold to 19. Q1 19, 2400, 25,631. So make this that. I'll make this that. So I'll keep kind of recycling this. And what I'll do is I'll forecast revenue on the basis of kind of a renormalization. This is a weird way to do this, but does that make sense? No, hold on. Okay. So whatever the box office is, AMC has captured historically, excluding the pandemic quarters, something like 55% of box office revenue. They kind of call that revenue for them. Okay. Film gross margin. Percentage of the company is film as a percentage. 21%. Last quarter it was much higher, 28%. Looks like in good quarters it's 28% roughly. So let's try that. Okay, there's still hope for AMC. There's still hope. Not that bad. You gotta give them a couple more quarters. They're still... definitely still some hope. Doesn't make it a good stock. I mean, if they can really recover strongly, maybe you can get a fair value, but it doesn't make it a good stock. Oh, and that's fair value at 13. What's the stock price now? 17 or something? Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to get to this point. So anyway, if you want to download that model, that Excel sheet, I'm going to save it on GitHub. So you can go to my GitHub. If you never used GitHub before, it's a tool mostly for computer programmers, but it can be used to share any kind of file. So let me just add it real quick. All right, so feel free to go download that, github.com/Martin Shkreli /models. And now we're going to do this VC pitch. So this will be funny, hopefully. I think you guys will catch on pretty quickly as to what's going on. Start the space. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to be doing this call. I have a Mac somewhere lying around here, but for financial stuff, I think Excel, so forth, it's pretty good. I'm probably going to get a Mac, maybe with a screen up here or something. Probably better for programming. Macs are better for programming. I'm not 100% convinced of that yet either, by the way. But I think that would be the reason. I did get a lot of love letters. I get love letters every day. Most important love letters from Trashy, though. Trashy gave me her paw prints. Trashy, my cat, in case you didn't know. Well, Trashy's really the family cat, you know. Trashy Shkreli. She's one of us. So I should be starting my space right around 9 o'clock. So maybe we start 5 minutes early and just sort of get, what do you think? Is that the best idea? Start it with some slow jazz music. Thank you and welcome. Cat is with my father. No Forex for me, sorry. Preferred programming language is JavaScript. Oh man, CZ is doing a space? Hard to beat that. Scheduled 9 at the wrong time.
You need to look at stickiness. Ideally, you want to have a stickiness. There's a term which I forgot. For every user you bring in, they should want to invite more than one other user at least. If you can achieve that, then you have a good product. Then you want to scale. So then I highly advise that you do not spend $10 million all on the first try. So it's enough money to make many attempts. So and then the other very important thing in the blockchain space. So if you have $10 million now, you probably have token holders out there. You really gotta treat them well. So your token holders are your users. So in the blockchain space now, we have a new business ecosystem that's very different from traditional business systems. Traditionally, you have investors who are shareholders of a company, and the company have users, and the user pay the company split the profits to the shareholders. It's a one-way, money moves one way. In the new blockchain space now, your users are holding your tokens, and the more successful your platform becomes, or your product becomes, the more users will come in. The more users you have, the more demand for that token is. And because it's a utility token, I would assume that have some use case in your ecosystem that will have some benefits. And when the token demand
Okay, so we're gonna start. We'll start the space at 9 o'clock sharp. Yeah. Just waiting for my guest here. I don't know a lot about this fund, but I'm told that they are one of the biggest funds in crypto. Hey, Fonte. So yeah, this fund manages, from what I understand, billions of dollars, and is a crypto focused fund. So I don't know a lot about them, but I'm looking forward to meeting them. It's a little unusual to do this call like this, but you know, it's 2022 and things are definitely different. Yeah, so if you're here, we're getting started at 9 o'clock. Going to be doing a VC pitch with a top crypto VC. Should start right at 9.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Morning.
Good morning. So we'll start right at 9. Start right at 9 o'clock. How are you?
Of course, always early. 1 second, turning off my Elton John. Good morning, man. How are you?
Great, great. Thanks for taking your time to do this. We'll begin at 9.
Sorry, we start at 9?
Yeah, 2 minutes, just to make sure everybody starts at the same time, since we promoted this at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's fine. Here it's, I don't want to disclose my time zone, but here it's a different time.
Okay. We'll just give it another minute. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm going to be doing a live pitch of my company to a major crypto VC. You'll get to see kind of behind the curtains, behind the scenes, how big investors interact with startup companies, and see how we can negotiate and potentially, you know, talk about each other's businesses and get a feeling for each other, and see if there's a way to do business together. And sometimes these pitches go well, sometimes they don't, but I think that it's really instructive and interactive to do it right on live. Nobody's ever done this before, so this is definitely going to be a unique experience. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about your firm, and before I get into kind of what we do here at DrugLike, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about, or tell me, we'll just pretend nobody's listening, like we would normally do this privately, and tell me a little bit about your fund, where it started, how it started, all kind of stuff like that. And you know, so before we jump into my company and what we do. Let's see, I invited you to co-host, so if you can accept that, that'd be great. Maybe I should cancel the co-host invite. Maybe you want to leave the room and come back. It's up to you. But anyway, if you're just getting here, we're doing a VC pitch. So, oh, okay, we're good. Thanks, 3. So yeah, like I said, maybe you can tell me about your firm.
Yeah, sorry, I got rugged by Twitter. Hey, so this is Lyle Mavis. I'm one of the co-founders of, we call ourselves Tres Flechas Capitalo. And so my 2 partners, I haven't heard from them for a while, so I'm leading this call with you now. I would say, like, just between us, I'm the more conservative, risk-averse one of the three. And yeah, so I found out about you, Enrique, because we're trying to shift a little bit in our focus. So I found out about like your reggaeton aspirations, and I was immediately convinced. So that is why we're on this call now. Yeah. So I will lead this call. I'm the more conservative one of the three. You might have heard about us, maybe you haven't, but yeah. So that.
Yeah, no, so I don't really focus on paying attention to what the VCs are up to. I focus on my business, so I don't know much about each different fund. So maybe you could tell me, like, roughly what kind of capital management, how much capital you manage, things like that. Like $1 billion, 5 billion, 100 million. What's the rough? Are you there? Oh, I guess Twitter's messing around with you again. So I'll wait for you to get back on. And I'm kind of curious why you haven't heard from your partners lately. Is that doesn't sound too normal, but you know. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to add you. I don't know what's going on. Oh, here we go. Keeps coming in and out. Twitter Spaces is pretty buggy. So yeah, I'd like to hear specifics, I guess, about like, is this your first fund? Is it an evergreen fund? Is this a vintage you're still investing out of? What kind of capacity do you have to invest? I just want to make sure we're not wasting each other's time and see if you have real capital that you can deploy. I hope that's not too forward, but you know, I do a lot of these calls and I'm not even sure if there's any funds behind the fund. Maybe you want to leave and come back. That might fix the problem. But I don't know. Let me remove you from co-hosts, and then let me add you again, I guess. Add as a speaker. Maybe that'll work.
Normally you do these things over Zoom and
yeah.
Google Meets with whatever. Yeah, good question. So I haven't updated the NAV in a while, but last time I checked, it was around 3 billion, more or less, give or take. I mean, it's crypto, you blink and half of it is gone. But more or less 3 billion. The checks we write are somewhere between 50K and 500K.
Wait, what?
Yes, but I haven't heard from them. Sorry?
50K to 500K, and you have 3 billion?
Yeah, I mean, you need to just, we call it, I don't know how we call it, but you need to spread your bets, no?
Okay.
Sometimes we do multiple checks of 500K through different entities. So in the end, you still get a few million, but it's
okay.
You know,
that works for me.
500K.
Okay, that could work for me. I think if it was the most you can invest was 500K. I mean, I think we could still have a call, but anyway, that's really helpful. Yeah, so maybe we can get started. I'll tell you about my company, but maybe real quick you could tell me about what do you look for in your portfolio companies? Like what are you looking for? Obviously, hopefully returns, but
so apart from like the obvious things, we also just check if we are in line with the people involved. So that's also why this call is quite important to us. Other than that, like if we like your view and if we like the idea you have, which in this case is already true, we also like firms that we can borrow assets from. So if you have assets, that would be great. And then preferably like not too much risk management and legal on your side. Just, I mean, we're all amongst friends.
Right.
We're probably all gonna make it. So then if you can just borrow some of your assets and make 5% yield on it for you as a service.
Oh yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, if you can do that for us, that's I mean.
Yeah, that's something we do. So that's something we do for our portfolio companies. Like we manage the treasury, and that's like a win-win.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I actually think that's a good idea because new startups don't necessarily have that capability. So if you can manage our cash balance and make it grow, I think that works for us. So anyway,
that's our expertise.
Oh, interesting. So anyway,
can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
I have to clear up some rumors because people were messaging me right before this call.
Oh.
So I don't want to be rude or so, but people people were saying like this is not a real reggaeton artist. He's LARPing. He's actually an R&B artist. So could you clear up those rumors? Are you an R&B artist or a reggaeton?
Well, I would say that I transcend music, period. That, I'm changing the game completely. Reggaeton is a term used by others. I think that over time people will just see me as an artist, period. So I think we'll see how that goes. But I would say I'm strongly reggaeton influenced, similar to Bad Bunny and other people like that. But, music is just my side hustle. I'm a developer and a business builder first and foremost. I'd say that, an entrepreneur. I do some things on the side. I plan on being a film actor, a stand-up comedian. I'm also very active, so I do a lot of different sports. I have about 17 startups. You're just getting the pitch for one of them. I do full-time trading and investing. I'm also a social media influencer, but I definitely have more than enough time for running this company, and I look forward to your investment, your possible investment. But I should just pencil you in anyway for the 500K. But let me tell you what we do before we get into too far down that road. So anyway, our company is developing a software suite for simulation of chemical and physical interactions. So this is a very advanced tool for a pretty small community of power users. So this is not some decentralized finance app that a zillion people are going to use to collateralize NFTs or something like that. I know maybe that would be more interesting to you, but this is a software company that's intending on making revenue and profits. I don't know if that's the kind of thing you look for from your portfolio companies.
We could do it as a change. We're open to that.
Okay, good. Yeah, revenue and profits sometimes I think are helpful. Just when you are growing the company and you have like businesses that actually sell a product, I think sometimes that's something investors may want to see. But in other companies, I know that there's just an interest in how hard can you meme or how hard can you go hard in the paint. And I guess we don't do that much. So we make a company that just makes software that users use and make them more productive. And this is in the drug discovery and other types of molecular sort of screening process. So a lot of our competitors, their platforms cost a lot of money. So we're taking kind of a little bit of a heretical view by charging a lot less. In my past, I've sometimes charged more for products. So this time I'm charging less. We'll see how that goes. Last time it didn't go that great. But, there's a lot of ups and downs in business, right? I mean, it's all about how do you come back from the stress, right? Like, do you face the music or do you run away and hide? Like, to me, I always think, like, the best thing to do is admit you made a mistake and see how you can recover. Don't you agree?
I agree, man. I agree. Like I said, like I'm the third one of the three co-founders. I'm not sure if the other two would agree with you. We're quite different, but I would agree. I would stick around, go for a round two, and
Yeah. See if
like you said, face the music.
Yeah. See if you can make a comeback.
So can we maybe go into detail about the product then?
Sure.
So users will be kind of, as far as I understand, like I'm more a finance guy, but they will be like kind of solving some kind of minimization problem with their computers, let's say.
That's right.
And the application is finding molecules that potentially have can be used as drugs.
That's
so
basically right.
If you compare this to like Bitcoin or so, are they able to steer the way they look for a solution? So, or are they just blindly running some algorithm, or can they also say like, hey, I expect the solution to be in this kind of subspace? So,
wow.
Is there some edge for people? So it might be interesting to,
It's a really complicated question. So really perceptive question. I thought you guys were more of like just invest in whatever kind of company. So.
No, that's the two others again. Like you're mixing me up. I'm Lyle. I'm the big brain.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I never bought crypto. I'm only buying gold and bonds.
Okay.
These guys wanted to buy crypto, but it's working out until now. But
okay, yeah, no, I mean, I think the crypto market has been in sort of a weird, it's a weird time for crypto. So how are you guys weathering that storm? I mean, I think that, gold and bonds probably are doing okay, but have you guys survived this kind of like crypto crash and crypto? I'm sorry to distract from your question, which I have a good answer
No,
to, but I'm just curious if.
I think we're not impacted. Last time I called them was a few weeks ago, and they were on a holiday, so they only said like, "Yo." So I guess we're doing fine.
Yeah.
I don't think we're exposed to things like Luna.
Good. I'm glad you missed that landmine. Basically, I think in a lot of other parts of the world, like I'm in New York, so we work all around the year, but in a lot of other parts of the world, like people take the whole summer off sometimes, right? So anyway, you're right that it's a function minimization problem. In this case, you're trying to lower the amount of total free energy. It's a very complex algorithm. I do think it'd be beneficial for people to run a client that we provide so that they can, anybody, you don't have to be an expert in quantum mechanics to figure out the solution, but at the same time, I also think that there will be power users that try to, kind of get the answer better than our client, and we welcome that. It's sort of like Bitcoin, right? People can definitely try to make a better solution. But I also think, like I said, Web3 is an important new technology, and no software company can afford to miss it. But at the same time, like let me just add you back as a speaker. We have a lot of technical problems with Twitter Spaces, and I know as a big VC, you probably don't have too much time to take too many pitches, so I really appreciate you taking your time. Normally I only get like 7 minutes with your average VC before they decide whether or not they want to keep looking into the company. So, I have 7 minutes to sort of explain a really complicated software suite, but, they call it the elevator pitch, right? So anyway, again, I'm still trying to add you. So I think that Web3 is important, and no software company can afford to sort of ignore these technologies. But what that really means to me is that company survival is always the most important thing to me. Company return for investors is always the most important thing to me. Web3 is an important suite of technologies, and I do think they're applicable to what the solution we're trying to provide. But I also think that it's doesn't make sense to sink or swim by Web3. I mean, if Web3 can add to your company, great, but you should be able to survive without it. If our clients want to pay us millions of dollars of fiat, I'm taking the fiat, as opposed to the alternative of not taking any revenue. I'm taking the revenue in fiat if I have to. Of course, I prefer to build a crypto native kind of company, but some of these customers are not necessarily going to be ready to adopt crypto. I mean, I could see right now some major company. Here we go. Welcome back.
Sorry, man. The internet in Colombian jungle is quite rough. I don't know where did I leave you?
Well, I was just. Are you on vacation? Colombia. I was going to ask where you have offices and where the partners are located.
Yeah, so we were located in Singapore. Now we're working remotely. Everybody's working remotely.
Okay.
Because that's the future.
It is the future. It definitely is the future, and I know some VCs that are always traveling because they have to go to see entrepreneurs all around the world. And Colombia is kind of a weird country. But, I'm sure there's plenty of entrepreneurs out there.
I guess so. I'm not in Colombia.
Oh, okay.
I said that the internet is rough in Colombia. Yeah, that's just what I read. I read an article about the internet being rough in Colombian jungle, but I don't know. That's just what I read.
Is that where your VPN is, or are you using a VPN?
I'm just using a normal internet connection.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that it's important that we pay attention to Web3 and we try to use some of the Web3 new technologies. But I think if you build your company completely exclusively on Web3, that you can sort of increase your risk unnecessarily by sort of forcing Web3 adoption that may or may not happen. It could take years longer than expected, right? So if Web3 adoption really hits in 2025, what do I do as an entrepreneur? How do I explain that to my investors and to my employees if it's just a couple years later than I expected? I should safeguard the company from risk and from failure. That's a CEO's job. and I think that it's a leader's job, and I think that I'm going to make sure that that's the case. So if Web3 takes longer than expected, or it never happens, I think that the company's software has to be able to stand on its own two legs. That's not the case with DEXs and NFTs. They're only valuable if the core Web3 value proposition is valuable, which I can't predict, right? I'm not a psychic. I know you guys have made big bets in this space, and this is maybe not your philosophy, but for me, I think prioritizing the user and the user's interest, prioritizing revenue, those are the kinds of things that I think have made me successful in some of my startups before, and I'm not kind of willing to make the all-in Web3 bet. So
fair enough. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think the distributed compute side, we're going to definitely try to make that work. I think there's still some big questions about how can you do that. We do think you can do it, but again, it'll take time to sort of see that through. The biggest problem, of course, is a user who does a bunch of work or says he's doing a bunch of work and he gives the wrong piece of work. How do you safeguard yourself from that kind of fraud? For instance, you see a lot of companies borrowing money and they don't have collateral. How do you safeguard from lending to somebody that doesn't necessarily have collateral or is taking risks with that fund? You know what I mean?
I have no clue what you're talking about, but going back to the to the distributed computer part question, like, will people be solving one specific problem, like finding one match for a molecule, or because I'm not really an expert on this area, so I'm trying to learn. The 2-sentence pitch of this idea is just brilliant. Like, it's brilliant. This is exactly a good application of distributed computing compared to all the shit applications. So I'm convinced. I love it, but I'm just trying to figure out how exactly does it work. So could a user, when he's like mining, let's say for a solution, could he find potentially another drug, and then does he know that? Does he get rewarded for it, or only if you find a solution for the actual problem? Because there's a lot of like serendipity even in normal science. Like, could that happen? Could I find like the Coke 2.0 by accident? And do I know them? Will I know this, or
probably,
how does it work?
My guess is probably not. So if I wanted to find a good drug, for instance, for a very specific cancer protein, and you found it, I asked you to do the job and 1,000 other people, and you found the very best score, because this is scored by a group of course, yourself, but also a group of validators. So there are 10 to the 20th or 10 to the 30th amount of potential molecules out there that are drug-like, and that's where the name of our company comes from. So it's not hard to make random drugs, just like it's not hard to make random hashes, but their exact fit is difficult to sort of find. So I think that's something that's remains to be seen. So I know you didn't give me too much time to do this pitch because you have hundreds of potential companies you're looking to fund, and I know that's the onus is on me to treat you like the princes that you are, the 3 princes, to make sure that I kiss your butt as much as I can, because without you I am nothing. There's no possible way I could run a company without venture capital money. So I don't know anyone with lots of money or anything like that, so I basically need you pretty desperately. So can I pencil you in for 500,000?
I think in principle I would go bigger.
Oh.
What kind of valuation are you raising at? That is.
Well, I mean, I'd say that on one hand, I could see we want you to make money too, so we could pick a really low valuation, like 1 million. On the other hand, this could be the next big company, so maybe we should pick $1 billion. I don't know. I just want to negotiate,
Billion. So how do you see yourself compared to like a crypto idea like Luna, for example? Just saying. So I'm not really up to date, but like Luna.
Well,
like 50% Luna, or
it's a bit different. From what I understand, Luna is very advanced technology where they're trying to do an automated market-making stablecoin liquidity pool, some complicated stuff. There's 2 tokens, one is backed up with the other. Very, very advanced.
There's 3.
There's 3.
Don't tell people about there's 3 though.
Yeah, so that's too much for me to wrap my head around, but I think that this is much simpler technology where there's just you know, it's traditional software with kind of a Web3 power boost. I think that Luna may take over the entire world financial system. I'm just trying to help some chemists do their job a little bit better. It's a very small thing in comparison. So I would say that we're probably a little closer to something like a Step-In. I don't know if you're familiar with Step-In. It's a pretty cool app that you run around with, and you get money for running.
Yeah, it's genius.
Yeah.
It is genius.
Yeah, so I'd say that we're closer to that. So hopefully,
Sure.
yeah, because our product actually does something similar to Step-In. You know, the Step-In product is like, you basically can't live without it, I would say. So our product is, yeah.
You're both aiming to make the world a healthier place. So in
That's
that
true
sense,
too.
I see the.
Yeah, so like we, our product is providing a valuable function for the user. We hope that chemists get used to our product and they wake up one day, maybe this is next year, who knows, they say, I really love this product, I can't see myself doing my job without it. And that's how I feel about Step-In. Every morning I wake up and I say, I can't see myself taking another step without Step-In. So, you know, or I can't.
Okay, and so okay, and you have us on board, let's say, for 2.5 million.
Nice.
What do you want from us? Like normally, one of the things we do, we always do this, like regardless of whether the project wants this or not, but it's just like free service. We kind of test the liquidity in the market for the token. So, you know, you list the token, we test if there's like enough bids in the market. You know, like Elon Musk did with Bitcoin, just testing some liquidity. That's something we always do. What are the other things we can do?
Well,
we can put out tweets.
Well, hold on. So if I give you tokens, you're gonna sell them?
No. We're testing liquidity. It's like we have a super advanced algorithm that just.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like some like pattern recognition. We check all the bids in the market and try to fill them. So then we can give you feedback and say like, hey, there's a lot of people in the market that are interested in buying the token. It might be that the price then crashed 40%, but at least you know where the interest is.
Well,
so that's something we always do for free.
I'm new to the space, so I guess if we're gonna partner together, I'm just gonna trust you that you know more about crypto than I do. You guys have $3 billion. You know, global fund in countries I don't even know about, and you know you're deploying lots of capital. So ultimately, you think that's what's best. I guess we'll work on something like that. Like
That's for sure. Like that we do for sure. Like even if you don't want it, that's just we feel that we're obliged to do that to any project token we get. Yeah, but all other things like we love to be like contributing to our portfolio companies.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we need some help with is expertise on verifiable computing theorems. Is that something you think you could help with?
We have somebody very good with computers. Yesterday I got like a blue screen. The Windows crashed, and this guy just got it up in 2 hours. So is that what you mean, or?
Kind of, yeah. But how would you compare yourself to the other major VCs that we're talking to?
Like who? Who else is bigger than us?
I mean, like Sequoia or maybe someone like that.
Never heard of them.
Okay.
I'm not talking about two nerds in a basement just buying crypto all day. That's not a true VC.
That's true. That's true. Would you guys call yourself more of a VC or a hedge fund, or you do it all? You're like a full service, everything.
I honestly call ourselves like market philosophers. Like
very cool.
We like the whole concept of super cycle is ours. Bullish dumping is ours. Like we really dive deep into the structure of the market, link it to.
So I guess your internet may have cut out. But yeah, market philosophers. That reminds me of George Soros. Similar to Soros, where philosophy comes first, the trading comes second. I gotta say, I'm really intrigued. I think that we could have a good partnership with 3ROs, or Tres Leches. I'm also bilingual. Yeah, I'm still a little, got some sort of opaque as to exactly how your fund operates and works. I'd like to probably meet in person if possible. Let me add you back as a speaker. I know Twitter's acting up for you. But yeah, it'd be good to meet in person. If you want to DM me some of the details. I'm in New York, so if you want to come see me, that'd be great. I think, you know, having an eye-to-eye, kind of being able to shake the hand of the person you're getting into business with is pretty important. But that's just my 2 cents. So I'm going to keep inviting you back, but if you have to leave and come back, maybe that's a good idea. So yeah, this is how real business is done. You know, I think you get a good sense for like how Three Arrows does their portfolio selection and, you know, negotiation, and how founders have to sort of stand up to VCs and push back when they, you know, kind of try to dominate you. You have to sort of push back and say, no, I don't need to take your money, you know. I'm good. Oh wait, they're back. I gotta kiss their butt again. Hold on. Hey, so no problem. I have all day for your eminent wisdom. I mean, market philosophy sounds like something.
Yeah, so we're market philosophers. So I have one thing, like one breaking point is I don't want to sit at the same cap table as Alameda.
Oh.
That's the only thing. Like, I don't care who else is investing or who else is not investing, but Alameda, that's a no-go.
Okay, well, we understand that sometimes there's VCs that conflict with each other. We don't plan on raising this round from them, but if they come out with a term sheet where they want to give us $50 million at $500 million valuation, I mean, I'm going to be tempted to take that deal.
No, we will do it 10% better.
10%?
Yes.
What if Sam Bankman is willing to join my board of directors? That's a famous guy. I mean, I'm no offense to you. I'm sorry if you found that offensive. He has a lot of visibility in the space.
You have a very good name, a very good rep. I don't think you want to ruin it by having Sam on the board.
Okay.
That's my honest opinion.
No, I appreciate that. I'm new to the space, so this kind of inside baseball and insider information is really helpful. Would you be interested in making a personal investment as well?
Of course.
And your partners too?
I mean, I cannot speak for them. I haven't spoken with them for a while, like I said, but it might be. It might be. Although they're a little bit allergic of real, like you said, projects with revenue and profits, and so they care more about, bullish thesis and castle in the air. How do you call that? But I will convince them definitely to make the firm go big.
More aspirational.
Personally, I don't know. Maybe they're poor. I don't know.
What? I guess
I don't know how their personal finances are. Like, I know they bought a house. Sue bought 2 houses, but
you said his name is Sue?
Susan.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, I guess that's fine, you know, like, ultimately, we're trying to build a successful company, hopefully build a big company. I guess your partners are more into aspirational companies that are really trying to change the world. We're just trying to change one little corner of the software industry. Nothing as big as changing the world. So I hope that we don't conflict in that, because ultimately, like, my company's not really going to change the world. Like, it's just going to help chemists do a better job. I think that could be a very big company, but it's not going to change, like, the way money works or, like, anything crazy like that.
No, but like I said, between you and me, like, I'm running the firm now since 2-3 weeks, operationally, and like,
congratulations. Congratulations. That's a great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not really. It just happened overnight. Like.
Yeah.
They didn't come in, so somebody has to run it then. But that's fine, because now we're taking more conservative and a more an approach that that we've been discussing until now.
Yeah. All right. Well, should I send you documents, deal documents?
Yeah, definitely. Like pitch deck, documents.
Pitch deck?
Team profiles.
I thought we were past pitch deck. Come on, dog. I need this money.
Yeah, then we need like a bank. Do you accept crypto or?
Yeah, sure.
Token?
Can you send the money in the next, like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Do you accept SAFTs from other projects?
I mean, is that money? Then yes.
What is money? I mean, the stuff is stuff. It's
Yeah.
a future promise of tokens.
No, I need the tokens now. I need something that I can sell so I can run my company with the money, or collateralize or something. I mean, I thought you guys had cash money. I need that cash money in the ideally next couple hours.
So how much are you looking? What's the figure you have in mind?
I mean, you said two and a half. You said 2.5 million. So let's go.
2.5 million.
I need that.
If you, yeah, 2.5 million we can definitely do. Like you have to send me maybe 3.5 first, and then we
Like collateral.
Sorry.
Like collateral from the other investors.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do that. I'm not sure why. Oh, because you're going to invest that for us. So this will be a $6 million round. You're going to do 2.5. The other investors will do 3.5, and you will invest like whatever we're not using for operations. And basically, yeah, that makes sense.
You make money for you, and yeah, that's your runway for the coming, I don't know, few months.
Yeah,
Who else do you have invested?
Pretty much the who's who of the space. So I can't disclose the names without their permission, but I would say all names you've heard of. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think, do you know Do Kwon?
Sounds like a Japanese dessert.
No, no. Do Kwon. I mean, you should be used to Asian names by now. He's a major speculator in crypto, and he's putting up a good chunk of the capital here. Who else? Oh, geez, I'm trying to think. There's a couple of other investors. You'll see.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna wire you the money in an hour or so. If you don't mind, I'm gonna test you for red flags. I'm gonna just do some random questions to see if I like you. This is always the last part of the
Oh boy. Okay.
conversation.
I'm a little nervous, but go ahead.
And liking you means like if we disagree, that's also fine. Like I like people that I disagree with.
Okay.
But I just need to test the water a little bit.
All right.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Shoot. Go ahead.
What do you think about the Unabomber?
Dangerous criminal. Very interesting philosophical perspective on technology, but he went too far.
Fair enough. Why are you on Reddit and not on 4chan?
I am on 4chan. In fact, I almost bought 4chan. So I'm definitely lurking and anonymous on 4chan. In fact, most of the crazy things that happen on 4chan happen because of me.
Nice. Okay. Did women ruin everything?
No. Women did not ruin everything. Did I pass? I hope I passed. Without this VC money, I'm cooked. I hope you didn't hear that. Okay, I added you back.
Women did not ruin everything, that's what you said?
Correct.
I just got rubbed again.
No, women did not ruin anything.
Anything?
No, I don't think so. I like women.
Well, okay. So, I know you like women. I'm also a women enjoyer. I really love women, and I know you do as well, you naughty boy. But when we look at things like, aren't they ruining every space they enter? Like,
No.
they're entering crypto.
They're
And they
people.
come up with that bullshit like inclusiveness in Web3, and
I mean,
be honest.
they're like people like anybody else. I mean, don't you think technology should be inclusive?
No. Women are beautiful. Women are delicious.
What?
They shouldn't be in offices, and they shouldn't work with
Holy,
computers. And they
holy
shouldn't.
moly! I don't know if I want your money anymore. That's kind of crazy.
I hope she hears this, bro. I hope she hears this. Next
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
I'm a little bit disappointed now. And it's going down from 2.5 million to 1 million.
Oh.
But it can always go up. You never know what happens. It can always go up.
Okay. Do you have any women that work at your firm?
Sorry?
Do you have any women that work at your firm, or? You've never had a lawyer that was a woman, a professional?
We have a cleaner. She does a good job. And Kyle has a helper also, Filipina maid.
Okay.
What's first?
What?
The what's first. Are you familiar with the what's first?
No, what is that?
Dude. It's like this on crypto Twitter, which I'm also not familiar with, there's like these green little creatures that you see. They're like half frogs, half penguins.
Oh, is it NFT?
Yeah, exactly. But like you can play with it. Like you can really. I'm not a big NFT guy. Like we bought some Fidenzas and some, modern art things.
Yeah.
Which I didn't agree with.
Right.
But these guys you can actually play with. So, but whatever. Look it up. It's what's first? Canvas.
I will sweep the floor.
We'll sweep the floor. Yes. Do you think every like given time period in the market offers more or less the same chances for people? Like does every quarter offer more or less the same amount of chances to make it or to make it good money? Or
I would say that if you were market neutral, yes. But some of it is random as well. But if you're long only, or if you're leveraged, definitely not. You know, if you're leveraged near the top, you will go bust, basically. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've been saying this to the guys as well, but and I think they're listening. So yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Do you think? So how do you see like? This is a more personal question, but like trading and addiction. Like how do you view those things? Like sometimes a gambling addiction hides in something that looks like sophisticated trading, or like.
Oh,
do you have any?
absolutely.
Views on that?
I've seen that before, and I've had some issues with that myself. I mean, I think that trading is really enjoyable because it's like a slot machine. Like, you look at the market as a big slot machine, and you just press buttons, and sometimes money goes in, sometimes money goes out, but you don't really realize that it's just gambling. And over time, I've had to really think hard about, okay, well, which of this is real investing and real analysis and real company building, and which of this is just betting on red or black like a casino. And I think that, you know, for me, I've gotten a lot better over time as I made some mistakes and done better realizing which is which. I don't know if that makes sense, or if you guys maybe never had to have that experience.
But do you have any tips for that? Like how did you? What are the tricks or like what are the breakthroughs you had for yourself? Because I mean, if I have a friend that says he has a system for roulette, okay, we laugh at him. But if you have a friend that has a trading system, like even if it's coded up, it could still be bullshit. And obviously you can look at your P&L, you can do the risk metrics, Supertino shop, etc. But still, man, the decision even to turn on something could be a bet, a gamble. Like how do you make that distinction, you for yourself? Like how have you grown?
I would say YOLO. You only live once, so you just push the button and whatever happens, happens. The money machine goes brrr. You know, you need to make the money machine go brrr.
Okay, so we're back at 2.2 million now. I'm keeping track of the answers and
Oh, good.
giving a point. So 2.2 we're now. Women did not ruin everything. You sure about that? You can still like change your answer.
I just can't. I have a very successful sister, very successful women executives I've helped over the years. So I'm gonna stick to my guns on that.
Okay, sticking to the answer is always good. So that's 2.4 we're now, because I like people that don't change their.
Opinion no matter what, right? Even if you're losing
exactly.
99%, you just stick in for the last 1%, yeah.
But then question 7B is what space women did not ruin, which they entered. I'm not talking about every single individual woman. Like, your sister's probably amazing, my mom is amazing. But apart from that, women as a group, as you can say, like...
I don't think they're that different from men. I mean, they've been successful financially in every area. I mean, I just, I think, I don't know. I think you're kind of, you're kind of going crazy with this question. But I don't mean to insult.
We're not at 300K, 300K.
Ah! Well, I have to be
300K now.
I have to be a misogynist to get investment from you?
No, You have to be honest.
I am being honest.
But,
You just
how do you
don't.
even know that word? How do you even know that word? There's no man that knows the word massage and the things without being brainwashed already. Like, that word is an invention. That word is a complete invention.
Just because I'm
It doesn't
woke.
exist.
Just because I'm woke,
Like,
and you're not woke yet.
What's another word? Transphobic. Transphobic is not a word.
I
It's
think
an invention.
you have to respect our cultural differences. I'm in America. I'm in New York City. This is not a laughing matter here.
Right.
We take this stuff very seriously. In your country, maybe you guys think about things differently, but here in New York, this is our culture. This is our culture.
Okay, back to 600K. So if you see a video of a long-haired individual beating up a guy, and it's ma'am, then so how do you look at that?
I think
we in the world outside of the US think like, what the fuck is this shit? They made some wrong turns there in the US. But do you think, and you look at that and you think,
I would say
girl.
it's a really brave person.
individual.
Yeah, brave.
Stunning and brave.
Right, brave, stunning, beautiful, courageous. Yeah.
Okay, we're back 1 million. I like it. So, would you be the public face of this company?
Yes.
And so, up till what degree do you think pharma or medicine or healthcare is political? Meaning, if you guys find an amazing solution to a real problem, do you think there will be heavy politics involved, not to take your solution, just because you are who you are, CK Enrique?
Well, that's a good question.
How do you see that?
People really hate reggaeton. They just say it's a lot of noise and not a lot of substance. And I think that that's no matter what you believe, if that's true or not true. The good news is our tool is for other users, so those users can use the tool how they see fit. It's sort of like making Microsoft Excel. Like, what you do with Microsoft Excel or Office or Word is up to you. You can make something good with it, you can make something bad with it, but it's a tool. So how you use the tool and what you do with the tool, that's kind of what's next.
Listen, so who gets the solution for a problem? Like, the problem is posted by, let's say, another pharmaceutical that's looking for a solution, and
Yeah.
they fully own the solution then afterwards.
Something like that. But I have a call with Do Kwon coming up, so I have to kind of cut this short. You had your chance. You got 30 minutes to send the money, or this deal is over. So,
Or that took a nasty turn.
Well, I don't have time to BS with you. I need this money. You're not going to give me the money. You're not going to give me the money. I'm on to the next one. Do Kwon is ready. He's liquid. He's got big bucks. If you don't have the big bucks, sorry, pal. I don't know what to tell you. You have to go to your investment committee and go and gather votes.
No. We don't have an investment committee. We don't have a risk manager. We don't have a legal. We don't have compliance. I have, if you want.
That's better.
Okay, let's talk business. 2 minutes. I would say 10K so 10,000 Luna tokens for 15% of the company.
That sounds promising. I have to look into Luna a little bit more before I can accept. I do have mouths to feed here, so $10,000 does not pay for a lot in New York City.
$10,000, mate.
10,000 Luna tokens.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
a big.
Okay, well, let me do the valuation on that, and I'll figure out if that matches up with what Do Kwon is offering me. Do Kwon, he's up there with. He says he knows Satoshi. He says he can get Satoshi as a co-investor with me. So, for Satoshi Nakamoto, I think that would be a pretty significant guy to have on my capital table.
Yeah, sure. So 10,000 Luna, a seat on the board, and never, ever one shekel accepted from Alameda.
Deal. You have a deal.
All right, done.
Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah, I look forward to building a long-lasting relationship with you. This is just the beginning of the start of a brilliant collaboration. And
Likewise.
yeah.
Thank you for it.
No, thank you.
Thank you for your.
I hope everyone on Twitter learned something. This is how the big boys do it. If you learned something today, great. If you didn't, too bad. You're too dense to learn and understand how the big shots really kind of run the game, So at the end of the day, I basically capitulated. I need this guy's money or else. So it is what it is. I'll just get that pedigree and experience, and my next company will be worth more. So why not let them win? You know, they deserve it.
Thank you, Enrique.
Thank you. Have a good one. Cool. All right. We're on our way. We're all going to make it. Hope you guys thought that was fun. Clearly just a satire, just a parody. It's a good troll because I got some people thinking it wasn't real, which is great. Alameda no go. That was really funny. So Sega starting to run away from me a little bit here. Not good. Alright, AMC looks like it kind of bottomed. I might get out of this. Maybe not. I think the management is kind of being very distracting with this whole BS that they're up to with the... Let me listen to the rest of that call, I guess.
Actively managing our theatre portfolio continues at AMC as we add new high-performing locations and at the same time eliminate low performance, all with the goal of improving guest satisfaction and enhancing our profitability. During the quarter, we added another 12 new theatres and we closed 3. This brings the total number of locations closed since the pandemic began to 98, and the total new locations opened to 45 for a net reduction of 53 locations. And I can tell you that the combined 45 new locations are not only substantially outperforming the 98 closed locations, but they are also nicely exceeding our underwriting expectations. CapEx, net of landlord contributions, was $36 million in the quarter. And for this year, separate and apart from any M&A activity, we expect net CapEx to be in the range of $150 to $200 million. Finally, before handing the webcast back over to Adam, I would like to share with you just how enthusiastic and excited myself and the entire leadership team at AMC is about the groundbreaking special dividend that Adam will now talk about in more detail.
Groundbreaking.
Adam.
Thank you, Sean. We'll open up the call to questions in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I'd like to talk about the decisive and bold action we took earlier this afternoon. After months and months of work to get to this announcement, we broke the news in the last hour that we will be issuing a 1-for-1 stock dividend of a new AMC preferred equity unit to our existing common shareholders as of the dividend date of August 19, later this month. This is a major step forward for AMC. In my view, probably the biggest favorable development for our company in all of calendar year 22, both looking back and looking ahead. Looking at the long-term future of our company, we believe this is truly great news for AMC and not such good news for those prophets of doom who may be rooting against us. Indeed, I just spoke with someone I greatly respect at the Wall Street Journal who saw our stock dividend announcement. He told me it was a, quote, genius move, unquote. Somehow I don't think the journal is going to actually print that, but that is what he said. Earlier this year, I said that AMC intended to take important and bold steps to strengthen our company and to address some of the grievances that many of our shareholders voiced repeatedly in social media and in other forums.
Why? Who
I also
cares?
said, though, that
Here's
the
what they
hard form
voice.
of leading a company as complex and one as much in the spotlight as AMC is knowing what to do and knowing what not to do. Knowing when to do it and knowing when not to do it.
Ridiculous.
I commented previously that, in my opinion, we should patiently wait until at least the posting of AMC's second quarter 2022 financial results. I did know, after all, that Top Gun Maverick and Jurassic World Dominion were coming. Well, we posted those results today, and in our minds, those results are incredibly encouraging, as we show dramatically increasing attendance and increasing revenues, along with positive adjusted EBITDA, so very much improved versus the same quarter last year. As I said before on this call, thank you, Tom Cruise. So, as a result, AMC shareholders, I am happy to report to you that today, we pounce.
Huh.
With the backdrop of AMC's Q2 favorable earnings in the second quarter, it is now time for us to take decisive and even valorous action.
Valorous.
Look up that word in the dictionary. Valorous. Today, we announced that later this month, AMC will be creating a new class of securities and will be issuing an AMC preferred equity unit stock dividend payable only to holders of our 516,820,595 issued and outstanding company-issued common shares. This includes all of our U.S. and all of our international shareholders as well. We will issue these new AMC preferred equity units on a one-for-one basis. Investors will get one AMC preferred equity unit for each AMC common share that they own as of the record date
This
in
guy's a
mid-August.
real idiot.
Along with our common shares, which trade now and will continue to trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol AMC. This new AMC preferred equity unit also will be a tradable security. It also will be listed on the New York Stock Exchange starting on August 22, 2022, under the ticker symbol APE. Yes, APE. APE
Wow.
as in AMC, A, preferred, P, equity, E. APE, APE. And informally, we will now refer to our two New York Stock Exchange listed securities as shares for the common stock and as APEs for the AMC preferred equity units.
Is this the stock
reasons,
split?
a dividend distribution in just about any form has been a long-standing request from our investor base.
The cash dividend would be good.
We answered that call. So too, this issuance of
This can't be real.
516,820,595 new APEs will essentially serve the same purpose as a much-voiced request for a, quote, share count, unquote, as the new AMC preferred equity units will only go to holders of company-issued and outstanding AMC
This can't be
common
life.
shares. Again, today, we answered the call. Because the dividend is only being distributed to our current shareholder base as of the dividend record date, there also is no dilution from this initial issuance of the APEs associated with the stock dividend. Because these new APEs all go and only go to holders of company-issued AMC common shares. The number of issued and outstanding AMC commercial shares will remain unchanged at 516,820,595 after the dividend is paid. But of course, each shareholder also will own 1/8 for every share of AMC common stock held. So, as of August 22, there also will be another 516,820,595 APEs issued and outstanding. Think of this as being very similar to a 2-for-1 stock split.
Yeah, stock
Except
split.
that in a stock split,
Same
an
shit.
investor would get 2 shares of new common stock for each 1 old common share owned. In the AMC case being announced today, however, given that this is a preferred equity stock dividend, an investor would own 1 share and 1/8 in lieu of owning just 1 common share. Since this stock dividend being announced today is like a stock split,
Yeah, this is satire
it's
too.
logical to assume that once the dividend is issued on August 22nd, the price of our common shares will fall. Vitally, however, and I cannot repeat this enough, for each owned share, investors would not own only a single share, but would own instead a share and an 8. So their economic interest in AMC, which is now just 1 share, would instead be the price of a share plus the price of an 8, both of which will trade on the New York Stock Exchange. And while no one's crystal ball can accurately predict stock market swings or volatility, the economic interest that our shareholders will have in both shares and apes will be in a company that we believe to be considerably stronger than AMC is now, prior to this announcement being made this afternoon. The issuance of apes is made possible given the previously and repeatedly announced approval by AMC shareholders back in 2013 that the creation and issuance of AMC preferred stock could occur solely at the AMC Entertainment Board of Directors at your discretion. While each ape is designed to have the same rights as a common share and can convert into a share of common stock, that conversion decision is still solely up to our shareholders. Conversion can only take place if at a future stockholders meeting, the company proposes and shareholders, including ape holders, vote to approve the authorization of additional common shares. That is still our shareholders' call to make down the road. Or not. It's up to them. But here is probably the most important thing of all in this announcement about the creation of apes today. With the creation of apes, AMC is deeply and fundamentally strengthening our company. We already have shareholder approval in hand, such that our board could decide we can issue more apes in the future, above and beyond those going out with this initial dividend. Given the flexibility that being able to issue more apes will give us, we believe that we would handily be able to raise money, if we so choose, which immensely lessens any survival risk as we continue to work our way through this pandemic to recovery and transformation. Rather than having to worry about survival, the flexibility accruing to us from apes can instead let us continue our efforts to try instead for AMC to thrive and to soar. This new AMC preferred equity provides AMC with a currency that can be used in the future to further strengthen our balance sheet, including by paying down some of our debt and other liabilities. It also gives us the ability to seek additional shareholder value enhancing and potentially transformative investment opportunities. I believe that all of this makes AMC vastly, and I mean vastly, stronger. And anything
This guy's
that
super
moves
emotional.
AMC so far forward in a single step is bad news. Bad, bad, bad news for those who wish us harm. Having said all of that,
Wish
there
you
are a
harm.
myriad of details and cautions related to our announcement today. So, I strongly urge investors, carefully read our press releases and our SEC filings on these matters, which are incorporated herein by reference. To celebrate this milestone and as a token of our appreciation for our shareholders' continued support, we also will be offering a free I Own Ape NFT
Oh,
to
Jesus
all
Christ.
existing AMC Investor Connect members and to new members joining by August 31, 2022. Incidentally, we have some 765,000 people who've joined AMC Investor Connect in the past 13 months. Likewise, based on the popularity of the original I Own AMC NFT that we issued back in January to AMC Investor Connect members, to those who are in AMC Investor Connect, or to those who joined August 31, 2022, they will also be entitled to receive a free updated version of that I Own AMC NFT, Make It Appear. When I think about this pandemic and the journey we have all been on together for the past 2.5 long years, I am ever mindful of our shareholders' dedication to AMC Entertainment, and if I can speak personally for a second, of their trust in me as its CEO. I want everyone listening to this webcast today, or on replay later, to know once again that my every decision and my every action is intended to work for the long-term benefit of all of our shareholders. I act and think like a shareholder because I too am a shareholder.
Really?
And a big one at that. At the current AMC share price, I now own outright approximately $15 million of AMC stock. And counting in also my previously granted but unvested shares, assuming they vest at so-called target vesting levels, I have more than a $50 million economic stake in AMC. This is pretty obvious stuff, but that is a powerful incentive for me to do what is right for all of our shareholders. All throughout this effort, I've always been candid. I've always tried to keep my word to our shareholders. Always.
Why do you sell
I
everything?
promised only a few months ago that we would be bold. And to that
Shit
end,
ain't bold.
a few months ago,
Bold is
I promised
generating some
that at the right
profits.
time, we would pounce.
Pounce.
Well, today,
We pounce.
we pounced.
Trashy.
Let's
My
move to
cat
questions.
Trashy pounces. I don't know how a CEO
Shareholders
pounces.
And from analysts.
Great. Adam, there's a question that just came in, and it reads as follows. It says, I saw in the press release that you said that this aid dividend will fundamentally strengthen AMC and has tremendous potential to create meaningful value for both AMC and for shareholders. Is this really as big and important as you claim it is?
Thank you for the question, Sean. Well, I didn't put it in the press release if I wouldn't believe it. You know, the lawyers read those press releases pretty carefully, and they make sure that I'm able to back up what I say. But I'm actually going to surprise everybody, and I'm going to say on this call right now, no, it's not as big and as important as I said in the press release. It's bigger, and it's more important than I said in the press release. As I mentioned in my prepared remarks, I think this is the biggest single step forward that AMC is going to take in 2022. It essentially takes near-term survival risk off the table. You can never say never in the world. There are always uncertainties. But I believe that the flexibility that we will get from the creation of this new preferred stock will allow us to raise cash if we need it. It will allow us to reduce our debt.
If we need it.
It will allow us to do intriguing M&A opportunities. This is an enormous step forward for AMC. This is very good news for AMC. And we all know there are a lot of people out there in the world who are not rooting for AMC.
Correct.
This is not good news for them.
That's me. It is good news. Stock went
Thanks,
down.
Adam. And there's actually another one that just came in through the Twitter. It's
Through
from
the
international
Twitter?
shareholders saying, will international shareholders get the chance to fully participate?
Yes, are we
in
going to get the chance?
dividend?
The answer to that question is absolutely yes. It's one of the things that we made sure would
Why
be the
wouldn't
case.
they?
You know, one of the things that has bothered me over the past year and a half is that we've gone forward with lots of offers to our shareholders,
Can't listen to this stupidity.
often through Investor Connect, but often separate apart from Investor Connect. And often we're giving benefits at our U.S. theaters. That's because we have one IT system across all of our U.S. theaters. You know, we operate in a dozen countries, and we have a different IT system and operate with different brand names all across Europe and the Middle East.
One transfer
It makes it
agent.
very difficult to make global offers because we can't necessarily program it through all these disparate information systems. In addition to that, with respect to voting rights, there's something that's quite odd to us in the United States, which is many international brokerage firms don't have the capability to facilitate shareholder voting. And so many of our international shareholders feel somewhat either disenfranchised because they're not getting offers, you know, a free popcorn, a free iced tea, a free cup of coffee, or early advance screenings that we've offered to our U.S. Investor Connect members, or they've been deprived of their chance to vote, not because we're depriving them, but because their brokers are. And so we made absolutely sure that when we issue this AMC preferred equity unit, it will go into the accounts not only of our U.S. shareholders, but our Canadian shareholders, our European shareholders, and our shareholders scattered all over the world. I've received so many comments on my inbound Twitter feed from so many different countries where we have AMC shareholders. I must say, I enjoy your devotion to our company and appreciate reading your comments to me. So yes, this new APE, this AMC Preferred Equity Unit will be available to our international shareholders as well.
Adam, I will just read the next question because I think it's quite self-explanatory here. Question is that now that the box office is recovering from the pandemic, how do you see the relationship between streaming, movie theaters, and film studios? How has it all changed compared to before the pandemic? And where do you see things going in the future?
So this is not a new question or a new problem. This whole issue, not streaming necessarily, but Windows and Hollywood studios' commitment to theatrical exhibition has been a live topic really ever since the summer of 2017. And we've been in active dialogue with studios ever since. Nothing really happened to change theatrical exclusivity. With all that discussion in 2017 and 18 and 19, nothing really happened until the pandemic showed up in 2020. And just as theaters were closed, Hollywood could not distribute their movies. And so studio after studio experimented with different releasing strategies of their movies they already in the can, including some other attempts away from theatrical exhibition. Some studios released films only streaming, some issued movies to streaming and theaters simultaneously, some issued movies to theaters but on a much shorter basis. Well, this experiment went on for 2 years. But here's what I believe that everybody learned, especially starting with Sony's movie Spider-Man No Way Home that debuted in December of 2021. If you look at what's happened over the past 8 months with Spider-Man and Uncharted and the Batman from Warner Brothers, and then this big range of hits, one after another, Doctor Strange and Top Gun Maverick and Jurassic World Dominion and Elvis and Thor and Minions. Hollywood has realized again how much money can be made by releasing movies in theaters exclusively first. In addition to that, it's kind of well known that the share price of some major streaming companies started to take a hit, and they started to lose subscribers. And there's a lot of speculation that while the market might be big enough to support one streamer or two streamers or maybe even three streamers, how can it support 10 streamers or more? And I believe that you take all this together, and Hollywood is turning away from streaming, Wall Street is turning away from streaming, Hollywood is coming back to theatrical exhibition. We have agreements now in place with every major studio to take their movies that are released in our theaters on a theatrical basis exclusively for a sufficient period of time where we believe the studio and AMC can make money. And if that new window, which is like a month and a half of exclusive theatrical access, if that's too long, we'll be willing to shorten the studios. And if it's not long enough, we'll be beating down the doors of studios saying lengthen it. But you take all of it together, I think this is all very good news for AMC. We have a parade of hits on our hands that either started last December or last March or last May, depending on where you want to start. And remember what I said looking forward. It is going to be a pretty tough, slow August, September. So let's not get over our skis in being too optimistic about third quarter numbers. But look at the movies that are coming in the fourth quarter of 2022. It's going to be monster hit after monster hit after monster hit after monster hit. And if you think the box office is big in 2022, it's going to be billions of dollars more in 23 if our current estimates are accurate. So again, we're quite bullish as we look to the future.
Thanks, Adam. Question here from a shareholder and Investor Connect member saying what are the bonuses and perks that are offered by AMC to its investors?
A lot. Well, the first perk is we all just announced that we announced that you all are getting a stock dividend in a couple of weeks. And by the way, if I can just add to my answer about our international shareholders, you should get one too, but if you don't get one, definitely contact your broker to determine how you should get one because you're entitled to one. In addition to the new stock dividend that's coming out, we did set up the AMC Investor Connect program. We got more than 750,000 people who've signed up in its first 13 months. That's available to U.S. and international shareholders. One of the benefits of that is frequent communication from us about what's going on. For our U.S. shareholders, look at what we've done and announced with Investor Connect. Some free offers, at our concession stands. We've had a new sort of major movie screening every month, or almost every month, in advance of its public release. In the world of movie fans and bragging rights, if you can see a big important movie ahead of its general release, that's good bragging rights. We've done that month after month after month. Another fun one for me anyway, is we've announced to Investor Connect that I, as chairman and CEO of AMC, have been hosting movie screenings personally, scattered around the United States, for a chance to watch the movie together with our shareholders. I've done it in 7 cities: LA, New York, Chicago, Kansas City, Dallas, Miami, and Washington, D.C. I'm expecting to do many more in the fourth quarter. And I can announce today with some delight that sometime between September and Christmas, I expect to hold my first overseas investor screening, probably in London, although it's possible to go somewhere else in Europe as well. And at these ones that I attend, I shake every hand in the room, I take a selfie picture with everybody who wants one.
Wow.
I autographed everything from shirts to, I even autographed the banana with one of them. It's a great opportunity to meet our shareholders individually one-on-one. Been 7 of the happiest evenings I've had all year. We will continue to look for more ways to reward our shareholders, and especially on my plate is to figure out how to get some of these offers that we're routinely making at our U.S. theaters available to our investors overseas as well.
Question, Adam, about our expansion plans. Question says, will we see AMC theaters in Canada, for example, or more expansion within Europe?
Well, in Europe, for sure, because as you said in your comments earlier on the call, the last couple of years we opened 45 theaters. Most of those were in the U.S., but many of those were in Europe. And we keep on signing agreements on attractive pieces of real estate to open new theaters. We just opened a theater a couple months ago in Finland. It's already one of the most successful theaters in Finland. And that's true that we're looking for new opportunities in all the countries that we currently serve. But for us to enter Canada or other countries in Europe where we're not now present, you pick it, the Netherlands, Poland, where we may not be, the best way to do it is not go into a country and open a theater or two and be an irrelevant player in that country. The best way to do it would be to acquire something of some size and scale. And prior to today, even though we had $1 billion of liquidity available to us at the end of this most recent second quarter, being very careful how we spend it and invest it, because we wanted to make sure that our cash position was always strong. With this new preferred stock currency that we now have,
Currency?
we can get much more aggressive on the acquisition front.
He let that slip.
And so it's conceivable, not definite, there are no current plans, but it's conceivable that we could do some international acquisitions. This is not a new concept to AMC or to me. All during the history of AMC has grown through acquisition. 3 years ago, 6 years ago when I joined AMC, 6.5 years ago, in my first year we did 3 major acquisitions that took us from being the second largest movie theater chain in the U.S. to the largest movie theater chain in the U.S., the largest movie theater chain in Europe, and the largest movie theater chain in the world. Recently, just in the last year,
Acquisitions almost
we
made you
bought
guys
about a
bankrupt.
third of the ArcLight Pacific circuit, which had not reopened after the COVID pandemic. And that's going very well so far. The Grove and the Americana theaters in LA, for example, are already 2 of the 30 most highest grossing movie theaters in the entire United States under our management. We just bought 5/8 of the Bowtie Cinema circuit in the Northeast, and that allowed us to double our presence in the state of Connecticut, which is a major bedroom community to New York City, where we have a significant market share. And already the theaters in our Bowtie acquisition are performing about 20% better ahead of the projections we made in our modeling when we went forward with that acquisition. So we know we're doing these acquisitions, we're good at it. Now that we have a new preferred stock currency at our disposal, we'll keep our eyes open on acquisition opportunities as well.
Adam, I have more investor questions, but why don't we take a moment to shift and see if there are any analyst questions at this point?
Absolutely.
Yes, we have a question from Glenn Wald with B. Riley Securities. Please go ahead, your line's open.
Hey, how you guys are cool. A couple questions. I guess one, obviously the use of this new currency potentially accelerate the deleveraging of the company, kind of pay down some of the debt that's been taken on in recent years. What, aside from any new actions you can take to major acquisitions or new entities, just like the current state of the company, what do you view as the optimal leverage for a company like yours right now, and you can give your outlook into next year?
Eric, the optimal leverage for our company is a lot less than we're currently leveraged. Throughout the pandemic, we've taken action to reduce debt. You may recall that in July of 2020, we did a sophisticated bond exchange where we traded equity for debt, and we wiped out, by memory, I think it was $555 million of debt with the stroke of the pen. Gone. Similarly, just a few weeks ago, we announced that in the second quarter, or July, I forget the actual date. I know we announced it. I forget the actual day we bought the debt. I think it was in the second quarter. That we bought $72.5 million worth of debt for $50 million. Got a 31% discount on that debt. Now, $72 million out of $5 billion is like a drop in the ocean. But being able to get our debt back at a 31% discount, that was certainly a good day for AMC. And just as we did a sophisticated bond exchange in the summer of 2020, if we have debt holders who would like to give us our debt back at a discount in exchange for AMC stock, that is a great trade for our shareholders. Similarly,
You can't make this shit up.
You all have asked us on previous calls about the deferred rent obligations that we took on with landlords, theater landlords, where we owe rent for calendar year 2020 or 2021, this year, next year, year 2024, and in the future. We've already been in contact with several landlords who said that they wouldn't mind getting paid early, and they wouldn't mind getting paid early at a discount.
No kidding.
That we could swing it, but we've been very mindful of holding on to our cash hoard, that war chest as I described it, because we wanted to make sure that we were always fundamentally in a strong position with liquidity at our side. But we now have a preferred stock currency that we might be able to use to reduce some of those landlord obligations, again, at a discount. How quickly we can delever, Eric, I don't, this is only the first hour of having this new currency at our disposal. So I'm not sure we can give you an exact number, how much debt we can bring down, over the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. What I can tell you is that we're a pretty creative management team. They've taken on a whole host of challenges since 2020, and strengthening our balance sheet and getting a better debt to EBITDA leverage ratio is very much in our bailiwick. So it should happen, and we'll be able to report more to you as we ourselves learn more.
Sounds good. Thank you. Congrats.
There are no further questions.
Sorry, operator?
There are no further questions from the analysts.
But we're going to go back to Sean. Do you have any last ones from our shareholder base?
Yes, I do. Let me take a quick look here. There is a question here. I think I'll just cover 3 more quick questions from the shareholders. There's a question here about Highcroft, and what is your timeline for the investment, and are there any anticipated interactions between Highcroft and AMC?
So there's a Highcroft. I am so convinced that when the story is finally written, this is going to be a good one for AMC. I put out a kind of macho tweet a few months back that said, when the dust all settles, there'll be a lot of crow eating about the Highcroft investment. I wasn't going to be the one eating crow. I still believe that to be the case, in part because Highcroft has raised all the cash it needs to stay in business for years and years and years. Second, in terms of our interaction with Highcroft, I hear that Highcroft has picked up a very smart new member of the board of directors. That would be you, Sean, because Sean Goodman, our CFO, is now a member of the Highcroft board. But third, one of the things that was so intriguing about Highcroft is it operates on 71,000 acres of land in northern Nevada that's mineral rich, and it had only explored in the 40 years it was around 2% of its 71,000 acres. gold and silver doesn't just exist in a small place. It spreads. Hycroft just announced, in part because of the cash, not in part, because of the cash that we enabled it to raise. Hycroft just announced that it's starting the biggest exploration program of more of its land than it has done in a decade. And while we won't know what the results of that exploration will be until they do it, you and I are hopeful that they will find a lot more mineral reserves that should be quite lucrative. As far as the timeline for the investment, we got in at a great low market price. We got an amount of warrants in the same quantity as the number of shares that we bought. So we basically double our economics without having to put up double the cash. And when we went into Hycroft, we didn't do it for a 90-day hit. If we wanted to do a 30-day or 90-day hit, we could have, doubled our money in a couple of weeks. But that's not why we entered into Hycroft's investment. We think there's much more there ahead of it for us. And so I think our timeline with Hycroft is sort of like a private equity firm. Hold it for 2 to 7 years and see what kind of value we can create for AMC shareholders. Sometime in that timeline is when I would expect, we know we got in, that's when I would expect we would get out, some number of years from now.
And a question here about AMC's growth initiatives. Person says, I'm particularly interested in branded merchandise, retail popcorn, credit cards, NFTs, and alternative content.
I tried to mention it in my prepared remarks, and in the interest of time, I'm just going to say quickly that we're making progress on each of these fronts. I gave some timing in my earlier comments. I think whether it's our popcorn business, our credit card business, our merchandise business, you're going to see increasing activity beginning in the second half of this year and the first half of next year on all fronts.
And the final question that I will ask this afternoon is, investors are asking for an update on our green initiatives.
So, the buzzword in the corporate world these days is ESG, and the E stands for environment, and with good reason. Many of us are quite concerned about what's happening to the climate on this planet. Here in the Midwest of the United States, it was over 100 degrees for a lot of time over the last few weeks. That's hot. And it would behoove all of us to respect our planet if we'd like our kids and our grandkids to have a planet to live on.
Oh, climate change
the
now?
laser projection announcement that we made is not a small announcement. It represents putting in $250 million of new projectors into our theaters. And the benefits are numerous. One, of course, is that for moviegoing, it's going to make for much better moviegoing. And it increases the light levels on screen by 50 to 100%, makes pictures brighter, sharper, clearer, crisper. Moviegoers are going to love it. But environmentalists should like it too, because laser projectors consume far less electricity. And we have thousands of them, and they operate, half the day, 24/7, or not 24/7, but 7 days a week. And they take a lot less energy. And a little known factor of our current 10-year-old projection technology is that they use halogen bulbs. And halogen bulbs burn out, and they burn out often. And so they need to be replaced, which happens to be expensive. And laser lights don't burn out anytime as quickly as halogen bulbs. But once you have a burned out halogen bulb, guess what you do with it? You put it in a landfill. And I think I'm told it has a half-life of about 5 trillion years. That's not really true, but the point is not having to discard, it is true that they got a long half-life, it's just not 5 trillion years. But not having to discard halogen bulbs is very good for the planet. We consume less energy. It's an expensive step for AMC, but it's a good one environmentally, and it's a good one for moviegoers. So I think you said that was your last question, and I'm going to wrap.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wrap. To all of you listening today, thank you for your affection and your passion for AMC Entertainment. We've been listening to all the things you've been telling us for the last year and a half. We've taken a lot of actions that reflect your thinking. And we took one today, the creation of APES that will trade on the New York Stock Exchange in just a few weeks under the symbol APE. It's an enormous positive step for AMC. We're thrilled that we're doing it. We think you should be thrilled that we're doing it. Over the long haul, we know that this company will benefit. And so this is a very good day at AMC because today we did pounce. Thank you one and all. We're signing off.
That does conclude the call for today. We thank you for your participation. I say please disconnect your line.
Yeah, pounced. Pouncer's gonna pounce. On transpilation, it's great that you got the JSX and Babel to work. Maybe a few more words won't hurt, especially if you're new to Babel in the process of transpilation. If you're already familiar, feel free to skip the part where we familiarize a bit with the terms JSX, Babel, and transpilation. JSX is a separate technology from React and is completely optional. As you see, the first examples in the chapter didn't even use JSX. You can opt into never coming anywhere near JSX at all, but it's very likely that once you try it, you won't go back to function calls. The process of transpilation is a process of taking source code and rewriting it to accomplish the same results, but using syntax that's understood by older browsers. It's different than using polyfills. An example of a polyfill is adding a method to array.prototype, such as map, which was introduced in ECMAScript 5, and making it work in browsers that only support ECMAScript 3. A polyfill is a solution in pure JavaScript land. It's a good solution when building new methods to existing objects or implementing new objects, such as JSON. But it's not sufficient when new syntax is introduced into the language. Any new syntax now as the browser that does not support it is just invalid as a parse error. There's no way to polyfill it. New syntax therefore requires a compilation, transpilation step, so it's transformed before it's served to the browser. Hopefully that makes sense. Transpiling JavaScript is getting more and more common as programmers want to use the latest ECMAScript features without waiting for browsers to implement them. If you already have a build process set up that does, for example, minification or any other code transformation, you can simply add JSX step to it. Assuming you don't have a build process, you'll see later in the book the necessary steps of setting one up. For now, let's leave the JSX compilation or transpilation on the client side in the browser and move on with learning React. Just be aware that this is only for educational and experimental purposes. Client-side transforms are not meant for live production sites as they are slower and more resource intensive than serving already transpiled code. Makes sense to me. All right, I'm gonna get some breakfast. Be right back. What? I guess doesn't like all the Sega short I have.
So imagine that you have a very big box, and also you have a unlimited supply of equally sized balls. And those balls, they could be cannonballs in a ship, or they could be atoms in a condensed body, or they could be messages in a noisy channel. And so the problem we are interested in is to find the to solve the sphere packing problem. So to find the densest possible configurations of such a balls in d-dimensional Euclidean space. And so the maximal possible density of such a configuration is called the sphere packing constant, and we will denote it by delta D. So this is how the sphere packing problem looks in small dimensions, in dimensions 1, 2, and 3. And you see that in dimension 1 the problem is trivial, because a ball in dimension 1 is simply an interval, and we can cover a line with intervals of equal size with almost no space left. So here the sphere packing constant is trivially equal to 1. So in dimension 2 problem is a bit more interesting, but it was solved by bees. And
Bees
so here
nuts.
you see this packing of balls, which is sometimes called the honeycomb packing or hexagonal packing for this hexagonal shape. And so disks on a plane, they can cover more than 90% of the plane. And so in dimension 3, actually things become much more interesting, and sphere packing problem in dimension 3 it was known as the Kepler conjecture. So the best way to put balls in dimension 3 is the same way that oranges are stored in a supermarket. So here you put them in layers, so each layer looks like this best configuration in dimension 2. And then on the top of each layer you put a next one, so you can put a new ball not into these big holes between oranges, so you cannot put it into each hole but into each second, and you continue like this in layers, and this way you will cover about 74% of the space. So here's this, let me tell you so now what happens in bigger dimensions. And so let me recall what are those bigger dimensions. So a d-dimensional space, it consists of points where each point is an array of d coordinates, and each coordinate is a real number. So now what we also would like to do, we would like to measure distances between points.
I lost track of that. I have to go back and listen. Should I drink water or coffee? Coffee will probably not be good for me. I'm trying to reduce the amount of caffeine I'm consuming. Too many windows open. I haven't seen the chat for a minute. Fields Medal, MacArthur Grant, prison. Yeah, no, she just won the Fields Medal. Do I go on margin sometimes? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if pass is the right word. I mean, you can buy more of a stock. I wouldn't call that dollar cost averaging. Or it's just averaging. It's okay to average sometimes. There are some traders out there that think it's never okay to average, but I don't know if that's right. Most fun thing I did in prison. There are definitely times hanging out with the boys, you know, where we would just have some great laughs, you know. So it's not too different from anywhere else, you know. I mean, you're stuck, you know, but you get used to being stuck and used to that process and that shittiness, and you just kind of get over it, you know. So just chit-chatting and bullshitting is fun. Yeah, squat and cough for sure. You definitely squatted and coughed. That you can't avoid. You have to squat and cough for the guards to make sure you're not holding anything. The guards don't like it much either, so they don't even pay attention. But it's part of the game. Squat and cough. All right, you're good. Basically how it goes.
We put them in layers, so each layer look like this best configuration in dimension 2, and then on the top of each layer you put a next one, so you can put a new ball not into these big holes between oranges, so you cannot put it into each hole but into each second, and you continue like this in layers, and this way you will cover about 74% of the space. So here's this. Let me tell you, so now what happens in bigger dimensions. And so let me recall what are those bigger dimensions. So a d-dimensional space, it consists of points where each point is an array of d coordinates and each coordinate is a real number. So now what we also would like to do, we would like to measure distances between points. And we measure them like this. So if we have two vectors, then we take the differences of their coordinates, take each difference take to the square, sum them up, and take a square root of that. And it's a nice notion of distance. So, and now when we know what a point is and what a distance is, we can also say what's a d-dimensional ball. So the same as in our familiar 2 and 3 dimensions, so the ball with center x and radius r, it would be just the set of all points at distance at most r from the point x. So now what do we know about sphere packing in different dimensions? So this is the list of all the dimensions where we know the exact value of the constant delta d. And so the first three I already spoke about them. So in dimension 1 it's trivially 1. So dimension 2 was solved by Axel Thue at the age of 19th and 20th century, and it's geometric and not a very difficult proof. And in dimension 3, the problem turned out to be much harder. And so it was known for a long time as a Kepler conjecture, but it was solved only at the end of the last century by Thomas Hales. And so let me just explain, so why is it a difficult problem?
Good question.
So in dimension 2, for example, we have one best coordinate configuration, and it's not difficult to believe that it's the best one. But in dimension 3, we actually have uncountably many equally dense configurations. So the picture with the oranges, which I showed you before. So here, at each layer, we have somehow two choices how to store our oranges. So we have somehow two ways, and to each holes we want to put the new layer. And so, because at each layer we have a choice, so at the end we end up with uncountably many different equally dense configurations. And so the next, somehow we don't really know what the exact answer is in dimensions 4, 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7, but we do know what happens in dimension 8. So in dimension 8 we have an incredibly great, nice configuration called the E8 lattice packing. And so it's somehow mathematical celebrity. It comes out in many areas of mathematics, and it's very symmetrical object. And so what we are able to prove is that it's the densest packing in dimension 8 is attained by this configuration. And another great configuration we have in dimension 24. So it is called the Leech lattice. It also has many extraordinary mathematical properties. It comes up not only in this problem. And for it, we are also able to prove that this is the best possible packing. So you see that somehow from this picture, you see from the table, you can see that when dimension grows, somehow our sphere packing constant becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So, for example, 25% seems much smaller than 74, but for dimension 8, it's actually a very big number. And so this, of course, leaves us with many open questions. So I was asked to give some open questions, to speak about open questions for the next 10 years. And in mathematics, usually people don't think in that time frame. So we usually give somehow questions for the next 100 years or the next 1,000 years. So I decided not to put too many questions here, and to ask only questions about sphere packing. So like one obvious question is, so what are the exact values of the sphere packing constant in other dimensions? So of course maybe we could search in small dimensions. For example, what happens for 4, what happens for 5? Maybe that is still possible and will be doable in the next 10 years. So the next question is, so if we are going to solve those problems, which new methods will we need? And somehow sphere packing problem, it has this very strange property that each dimension, or at least each small dimension, is very different from a previous one. And it seems like each new dimension requires a new method. So it's very interesting to know what those methods will be. And so, but other question which I also find very interesting, so that what happens in big dimensions? For example,
That's what I would do if I were you. What's up? Okay. Time's running out. Shit. Fuck. GG. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the end of the line. Rip my rating. Yeah, so that was a mistake. I like my position here. I mean, I didn't play the opening right at all, but after here, black is fine. That was also a mistake. Black is fine here. Found that h5. f5 is a mistake too. So knight e5 is best. Kind of in the middle of this analysis, but I'll play one with you guys just to play. Alright, Sega's calming down a little. What a mess. What a mess of a stock. Oof. This is a bad move, my friend. Okay. What do I do? Where do I put you? Sun's getting thin. Don't cry, bring the sun to you. If I can make this light enough, don't cry, bring the sun to you. Okay. YOLOs. YOLOs. What'd I do? Did I just hang? Ah, you son of a bitch. I still win. You son of a bitch. I don't pay attention. Now you make me mad. Now I am mad. I must find master combination. You make me very mad. The gel chess players were not very good. Don't cry, bring the sun to you. Don't cry. Yeah, the AMC dividend thing is a big meme, man. It doesn't do anything. It's such a joke. That's the time to short, Michael. Where else would you short? At the end of the hype? It's too late. You gotta short just as the hype is going away. I mean, you gotta time the hype. It's not easy, but you know, you kind of get it just right. You gotta get it just right. Don't cry. Bring the sun to you. Okay. What? What? Okay. What? Okay. Opposite colored bishops. What? Okay. I fucked up yet again. I fucked up. Tell a friend. Of course, I'll take the monkeypox vaccine. I don't want monkeypox. You want the pox? No bueno. I'm 5'9". I slouch a lot. Could be 5'10" if I just straighten my posture out a little. Yeesh. Losing all my pawns. Didn't have to be this way. Mandatory COVID vaccines? When did that happen? Nobody held me down. Kanye West. Triple vaxxed. Dunda, dunda, dunda. Okay, interesting choice. See if it plays off for him. Pays out for him. Okay. Give back the sack. me up in the morning, you know what I mean? I think I'm gonna quit streaming now. I really appreciate it. Got a bunch of stuff to do. Yeah, the Seagull lost, the numbers aren't exactly right, but yeah, the average price is not 1040, thankfully. I don't know why Interactive has that, but some error or something. Yeah, I'll do Baba at some point. I'll be back later tonight. Yeah, MSI, listen, you know, prices go up and down. It's not a big deal. It's about the long run. Yeah, so that's really it. So thanks a lot. Just React, a lot of my favorite apps and tools and stuff like that are built in React. So I just want to brush up. Haven't looked at it in a long time. So see you guys later.